Okay, ladies, since you want to go ahead and get started with the piece, you want to...
We're trying to move this podcast to a different level. We live, y'all. We already started this show. I'm gonna let my man Fahim do his thing, but you know the cameraman just gave us a green light with the big neck. But we gonna move past that right now. We get back on that later. So I'm gonna pass it over to my man
with you again. Welcome to an evening of the Men's Corner, where you all know what we do here at the Men's Corner. We're not gonna bore you to death with this because we have an awesome guest that we want to get right down to it. So we want to welcome you to the Men's Corner. I am your host along with my main Apple Scrapple here, 6. We're produced by Sonny's World, powered by DJ Glam, and our audio tech work being done today by Beasting Media. That's why we're late. Because Beasting got stung up in this joint, man. He better not do it next time. He gonna be up out of here. Y'all know how we do business. But we wanted to go ahead and take this time to really bring our main Apple Scrapple in here, Mr. Eric Singletary. I'm gonna turn this piece over to 6 because this was his brain trust right here, and he wanted to bring in Eric. You all know that we got a lot of power players that come through in the sports world and things of that nature. We don't just talk about sports here. We talk about life. And so if you look at our promotion thing we pushed out here, I said Eric Singletary from the projects to the project. We're gonna get live into that piece there. Let me turn it on over to my main Apple Scrapple, Adrian.
So we're gonna dive in because I know this brother.
Dive right on in, baby.
It's amazing how this thing I always say, man, called basketball, put people in your life.
Yeah.
And we was able to form a brotherhood through this basketball thing called the Three Aces. Where this guy Ulysses McFadden took brothers from all over Washington D.C. and mashed us together. We had no problem other than if we made a bad pass or anything like that. It was very uplifting though.
Yeah.
But you know, we got into each other's back on getting better.
Right.
You know, not to bring each other down. Like I don't think that's in basketball anymore.
Right.
Praise to Ulysses McFadden for putting that thing together.
Absolutely.
We had a hell of a run with that. We traveled across the United States of America to play different colleges or different people, and we was very successful with that. And that's how I met Eric.
Eric Singletary.
Eric Singletary. Went to Sidwell Friends, come out of Southeast Washington, D.C., which is very rare.
What part?
Langston Lane.
The Lane.
Like, he come from the lane.
The Lane.
To going to Sidwell Friends is a hell of a transition. So I want him to speak on the transition from Southeast Washington, D.C., coming from public school, going into a private school to that magnitude.
Well, yeah, definitely, like y'all said, I mean, it was a hell of a transition. I mean, I thought I was a really good student. I think I was a straight-A student at Kelly Miller. You know, I loved my time there over in 49th and Brooks, KMU. Shout out to all the Kelly Miller University people out there.
Okay, Kelly Miller University.
And since they come off winning a championship over there with Coach Dickie Wells, and I didn't know anything about Sidwell. I just remember a guy in my neighborhood, Calvin Woodland, rest in peace, you know, legend in the Washington, D.C., helping kids out through his foundation.
Yeah, and, shout out to Calvin. Yes, indeed.
And he, you know, connected with a guy, George Kettle, who was a regional owner of Century 21. Took some local kids from the neighborhood down to his resort home and just trying to expose us to some different stuff. And the guy just kind of really took a liking to me and, you know, talked to my parents. I was like, I think Eric would be great, you know, going to the school. And I remember not wanting to leave. I had my whole life mapped out. I knew I was going to Kelly Miller because Charlie Smith and Kurt Smith and Melvin Middleton, all those guys I grew up watching. I wanted to be in that, you know, that fraternity. I accomplished that. I wanted to go to H.D. Woodson because I wanted to be like Henderson Mosley, rest in peace, Tatum. You know what I mean? So, I had aspirations, like already knowing who I wanted to be like. So, but my mother was like, "You getting up out of here?"
I know them conversations.
Yeah. So what would have been your home high school had you not gone to Sidwell Friends?
Anacostia.
Anacostia.
Yeah.
Man, I know Coach Stiff was pissed off. God rest in peace, Coach Stiff. I know he pissed off. He didn't get you down there.
Right, but I was using my grandmother's address.
Was it Stiff down there at that time, or it was?
I think Coach. No, I'd played with Mike Powell and them. So
right. Hargrave, right? Oh, I know he was pissed
Hargrave
off.
was still down there. So
okay.
But I was gonna go to HD because I was already at Kelly Miller, and so I was gonna keep taking that W4. From Southeast over to the north side, the northeast side of things, and most of my friends were already there. Because my first neighborhood, I grew up in Lincoln Heights, and then I moved over to Langston Lane when they. So yeah, two prominent neighborhoods in Washington D.C. Kind of got raised the right way.
That's hood. Yeah, let's keep it a bean. That's right. Hood.
So, but like back to you, what you said though, tough transition. Like I think it would more than anything, it just made me feel like I had a good foundation in public school, but when I got there, I thought homework and studying were the same things. So I thought when I was doing my homework, I was done, and I had to catch up on a lot of those systems. Like once I got there, I became a successful student there as well. But definitely a tough transition academically, also socially, like being around different kids and different races and different socioeconomic backgrounds and stuff like that. But I think I was built for it though.
Yeah,
for sure. You definitely proved that, because I remember we was on road trips. And we joked about it, but you and I used to have side-by conversations on. I was trying to get my Mac game together at the time.
Listen to this, y'all. Incredible.
I was a young whippersnapper trying to get my Mac game together. So I would go to this brother and ask him to improve my vocabulary. And we're on road trips, like for real, like we're in English class on road trips, and he was improving my vocabulary, and like I was like, I want to make this, I want to talk in this language, but I want the words to sound or be bigger.
Right.
We sitting down seriously in the hotel rooms.
Yep.
Like when all the smoke cleared, because I was a clown on the team. I joked and played.
Kept everybody loose.
Right, so, but your education piece from Kelly Miller to Sitwell stuck out to me through all the players on the team. So, to come from Lincoln Heights, Langston Lane, or what? I'm saying it right here, the lane.
Yeah.
Okay, the lane.
Slash Woodland, guys.
Slash Woodland. Just throw it all in.
Right.
Talking about
the man come up in the projects, man.
Yeah, so at the end of the day,
it was in the projects.
So how was your attitude when you moved from Southeast up that way? Because there's no highway to get up there at all.
But before you go there though, what's the word, man, that you remember the word that you taught him, man? But there was one word, man.
The sphincter muscle.
Sphincter muscle.
And you ain't playing like you're supposed to be playing. That means you might have been a little tight around your sphincter.
So the whole team had to make sure that sphincter muscle was loose. So we had to get some wins, man. There was some tough ball games going on, man. Yeah, but I want you to touch on how you was able to transition, because let's be honest, you left a black family and you moved in with a white family. Right. So I want you to touch on how, and we ain't here talking about race and nothing like that, but the man had to totally transition his life from what he's used to coming from.
I think I was really blessed and fortunate that the family that I ended up moving with was very similar, obviously different race, but similar to like my family in the background. Like, even though they had, some affluence and, some wealth, but they didn't carry it like that. And like they kind of held me to a high standard, made me accountable for things. And so it was like kind of very similar like to my upbringing in my household. So what that transition itself wasn't a big transition as people may think it, on the surface how it looks. But they had a close relationship with my family as well. So that thing didn't happen just like, oh, let's come take this, black kid out of the projects and kind of save him. Like it was just more like the commute was killing me, and we were trying to figure out a better way for me to be more successful as a student. And so they had to sit down with my mother and my grandmother. And like to this day, man, I promise you, like when you're going through it when you're young, you don't think about it. But I told my mother when I became an adult, I'm like, man, what kind of courage did it take for you to allow me to go live with another family, period, but certainly a white family. And kind of pushed me off and know that was the best thing for me at the time. So like I gave her a lot of credit, as I got older, like the type of selflessness that she must have had at knowing what was best for me at the time, giving up your son at the time. So
what was that conversation like though? I mean, to sit down, was it like at a table that you guys just really sat down, you and your mom? Was there anybody else around?
No, it was just me and her like sitting on the couch, and I just kind of brought it up like, through all the college, some of the, professional basketball. We had never talked about it. But like one day we just finally talked about, Mom, what did it take for you to allow me to go live with the Grams? Because it just kind of resonated with me at that time. I'd always thought about it, but I never had the kind of courage to kind of talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. So is your mom still living?
Yes.
Oh man, shout out to moms. Great decision that you made. And I can understand that because I went to Mackin. I left Douglas, supposed to be going to Anacostia, and I went up to Mackin to play ball up there. Right. And so it was a different transition too when you coming from the south side and catching that 90 bus all the way uptown. Right. So it was a hell of a transition. So yeah, shout out to mom, man, for making that happen, man.
Yeah, that's a huge, because most black families won't allow their kids to be taken off into someone else's household, because it's almost like you giving up.
Right.
So our backgrounds, we don't give up. Not black women anyway. They're the most strong, dominant person in the household. Yeah. So for her to be doing it, that was huge. I
wonder what did any of your aunts and uncles think anything different about it real quick? We can go into it in the next segment. We're gonna take a nice 2-minute break here, a 1-minute break here. We're gonna come back to you with Eric Singletary here live with us at the Men's Corner. We're gonna take a pause for the calls and be right back at you.
Do you ever imagine a burglar breaking into your home and stealing your valuables, damaging your property, or hurting your loved ones? Of course not. The reason why most burglaries occur is because the victim was not protected. Don't be the victim.
Home security systems were designed to keep you, your family, and your premises safe from a wide range of dangerous scenarios. This is an area Unlimited Connect excels. Our highly trained and courteous professionals will respond in time and install your HD security camera in no time. And the best part? Every installation comes with a guaranteed 1-year warranty. And we also offer weekly specials and major discounts. What more can you ask for? Call us today for a free estimate at 202-702-6700 or visit us at www.unlimitedconnect.com.
Yes, indeed. We
back live with my man E. Singletary. Hell of a guy. Oh man, I'm just talking about some life-changing moments with this guy. With the transitions to real life, to putting it up there on Sidwell Friends, even putting kids in the NBA. Hey now, so we got a lot to cover here. So
but you know what? It was very interesting because our producer made mention. I wrote it down. The Michael Orr movie. I couldn't remember, but the Blind Side movie. When you did you get a chance to see it?
Absolutely.
When you saw that movie, what was internal like? What were you thinking about when you actually sat down there and saw how relevant was that to your story?
Oh yeah, it definitely to see that on screen. It resonated with me because, like you guys alluded to, I lived it. You know what I mean? And I had a beautiful relationship with that family. We're still family to this day.
Wow.
The young man, their son, and I actually ended up going to college together as well. So he played baseball at Rice when I played basketball. So we're still super close. But like you said, it definitely wasn't it was easy for us, like me making the transition, but certainly all the people around, there were some things that possibly could be affected. I had a brother that was 5 years younger than myself. So at the time I'm out the house, during his formative time. So there were some sacrifices made by plenty of people. I mean, certainly I think that there were some things that happened around the school at the time where people were wondering, are they trying to have a feather in their cap?
Right.
Bringing this black boy into their house. And certainly my friends in my neighborhood, there was a big adjustment for them once I went to Sidwell. I used to talk about, man, you talking different, man. You sounded funny and stuff like that. And it was just, it's tough when you go there and then you spend a lot of weekends there because you're playing sports and then you don't want to leave your old neighborhood behind, but you got to grow.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think one of the things I did a good job was merging the two worlds, where a lot of my friends from Sidwell would come around my neighborhood because I wanted them to see how I lived. It wasn't an escape for me.
Wow.
Like Sidwell was an opportunity, right? It wasn't an escape though. I always tell people when you're young, and I'm obviously astute enough to know the problems that we have in urban areas, in the projects as we say. But when you're young, man, I had a pretty good childhood, man. I always tell people, I wasn't dodging bullets every day. You know what I mean? So everybody was outside having a good time. You got a lot of your toughness was being outside, just kind of having to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like now today you see kids don't even go outside anymore. Like they live a sedentary lifestyle where like they're not outside like we were. I remember my friends from Sidwell would come around my way and be like, man, I love it around here. Like everybody's hanging outside. Like, you know, it's just unbelievable. Like, why is everybody outside? What's the ice cream truck? Like they'd never seen it. You know what I mean?
And that's interesting because most times we always say the wealthy come to the projects and everybody in the projects trying to go out where the wealthy live. And it's a crazy dynamics when you see it, you know. But let's talk a little bit about Rice. What went into the decision to go to, how many offers did you have to go to school and why Rice?
Right. I had about,
where is it? First
Rice is in Houston, in Houston, Texas. And
oh, he's drinking men's corner water while you all
plug it.
Men's corner water and the was over here.
Yeah, Rice is in Houston, man, and one of the things that attracted me was the coach was the head coach was an assistant coach at Stanford at the time.
Oh, wow.
But he's a local guy. I went to Montgomery Blair High School, Willis Wilson, and so I was on my way to Stanford. And then he ended up getting a head coaching job at Rice, and I was like, I'll go check it out because of him. I didn't know what to expect from Texas at the time, and shoot, man, I got down to Houston, man, it blew my mind. I'm like, man, they turn it up down here, man. I saw so many fine Southern women down here, man, and I knew it was a great school. I knew Rice was a great school already, so I definitely wanted to pick a school that was going to kind of set me up for life. You know, every young player has aspirations of going to the NBA. I think I was good enough. I think I ran out of talent at some point or whatever may have happened, but I'm glad I chose Rice for that specific reason, so it wasn't just a basketball decision.
What did you major in when you went?
I was a political science international relations major.
Come on, man, stop the man. I mean,
I told you, bro, was
say that, hold on, say that again.
Yeah, I was a poli-sci international relations major. Obviously, I'm coaching now, so I didn't use it fully, but
no, you used it well.
Yeah,
you used it well, and because it took you some places. Because I remember a while back ago when we were in an environment, and we were talking about Jim Brown, like one of your proteges. You wanted to get into communications at one point. You said, I want to lean over here, and we were talking about having a discussion maybe with Jim Brown to kind of help facilitate that and pull that piece in.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very interesting, man. You know, dynamic changes and things of that nature, and the fluidity.
Yeah, for sure.
Of your mainstay, just staying there, it's incredible.
For sure, it's been a journey, like you said. Like when I look back and reflect, like you know where I grew up, how I grew up, and then obviously going up to Sidwell, then all the way to Rice, and then you know a little bit of time in Portugal and Germany, and then back to DC, and now I'm back at my alma mater at Sidwell coaching. I could have never scripted it that way.
So and hence from the projects to the project. So now, before we get into that, did you have a chance to meet the president? Did he come up to the school? Did he come up there?
Yeah, he was up there often, like just for different little events, but certainly for graduation. But
he didn't come see you?
No, they stayed low profile.
You should have shot him out if he come up there, Joe.
It was low profile.
Yeah, it was low profile.
It was good. Low profile.
So let's dive into the piece from Sidwell to Rice.
Yes.
So being at Rice, I know you took a break. And I'm gonna say it out of my own mouth. I believe you and Powell should have made it in the league. I think Powell came out at the time of when there was a lockout of the NBA.
Yeah.
And I think you got caught up in that rapture like Anita Baker as well. Okay, so I'm talking about two prime brothers that was very smart on that basketball court. So let's speak into your career with Rice and the transition to why the break and going back and things like that.
No, very good question, man. I think for me, and I hope this message, like, you know, illuminates with so many young hoopers out there, you know, I've always looked at, like, you know, anything past high school, because the numbers don't lie, right? Like, only 4% of kids, you know, no matter what level, Division I, II, or III, make it to college basketball. You know, so when you put it in that perspective, I like to believe that I overachieved, right? Because I know for a fact that even back to Kelly Miller, that there was guys that were better than me back then that just didn't have the same discipline or, you know, different reasons they didn't make the team, right? So I learned that back then about being disciplined, working hard, you know what I mean, being in front of things as opposed to behind them. So I think by the time I got to Rice, I'd already had a pretty good perspective on like who I was as a basketball player, what I was trying to become. And I think I maxed out. Like I said, that's a compliment that you would think that. Like I said, I definitely think I was good enough at some level. But when you're 6'1", 6'2", there's a lot of guys that are good enough, right? You know, you're a dime a dozen, and you know, do you have the right agent? You know, do you have the right representation? Are you going to the right camps? Are you going, you know, doing all the stuff that is more in the forefront today. It wasn't as much back then. You kind of had to be a little more out, like Mike Powell, like you said, led the nation in scoring, but he was at Loyola.
Right.
That'd be a big deal today, but back then it wasn't as big of a deal, where the blue blood still kind of reigned supreme. And so for me, by the time I transitioned out of Rice, as I was chasing, professional basketball, I was able to like still have it in perspective that I was bigger than basketball. That I was bigger than basketball in the sense that it was a goal, a dream, and I was just doing it to like kind of take care of my family, right? So it wasn't even for me. I didn't have aspirations of living like a flossy lifestyle or nothing like that. It was just that dream that every boy grows up with, like I want to take care of my mom. You know what I mean? Like we was in the hood. I remember being on welfare and being, embarrassed, going to get the groceries with the stamps. You know what I mean?
The blues and red.
Yeah, I take them in a heartbeat right now. But,
I know.
but I just remember that was the goal, right? To take care of moms and and also like I think we gotta be honest with ourselves, and a lot of times we try to make it to validate our insecurities. Right? We try to make it to validate. It becomes bigger than who you really are. Like if basketball becomes who you are and you don't have an identity outside of that, you're going to be really lost when it's time to stop playing. Right? So I think I was able to make that transition a lot easier than a lot of players who really keep chasing that basketball thing because they just don't know what else to do.
And I'm so glad that you said that it's so much bigger than basketball, because a lot of coaches, even the coaches today, on the AAU circuit and all those circuits, if more of them, I'm not saying that there are a lot of them that do, but if almost 99% of them had that mind frame that you have, then we would have a lot more kids actually going to school to actually get an education, get a degree for life after the luxury of basketball. Because playing basketball at the collegiate level is a luxury, because for the most part, scholarship, we talking 100, 125, 150 in monies, in terms of scholarship money, that your parents don't have to foot the bill for. So it's an incredible.
Shout out to no student loans.
Yeah,
Shout out to no student loans.
No, honestly, I know the NCAA is under a lot of heat right now, and they deserve it.
Yeah.
They deserve it.
Yeah.
Right? But shout out to no student loans, though, for sure. Coming out of school, not having to worry about that was definitely. But I stand by that, though. I think a lot of guys just find it hard to transition because they just don't know what else to do.
Yeah,
they don't know what's next because their identity. Like basketball is the sexiest sport we got. You know what I mean? So it can seduce you into believing like it's synonymous with hip hop, how we dress, like you gonna get all the girls, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's very seductive, and like everybody wants to be a part of it, right? But I think you have a better chance of being a scientist than you do a basketball player.
Man, you're teaching in here. You training in here, baby.
The thing with you though, you was on high demand in the city.
Yeah.
One, you was a floor general. Two, you was smart. And I ain't talking about classroom smart. I'm talking about on the hardwood smart. I was pissed when you went with Rice and them and played. I don't mean University Rice. I'm talking when you played with
Shout out to Rice and Dink.
Yeah, Rice and Dink. I was pissed. Personally, that would hurt me to my core when you played with them, because I knew what type of ball player you was, one. And two, you brought so much camaraderie around guys. And it was just like, it was always genuine. Nothing was fake with you. Nothing was like, you knew where you came from, you knew where you went, you knew where you were.
Right. Yeah.
Right. See, and you put all three of those things, no matter where you went, where you stayed, or wherever you hooped at, every time. If you left the 3 aces, you still kept it cordial, you kept it respectful. We were still brothers, but it hurt me. I ain't gonna fake with you.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting? You say that because I remember I used to tell him all the time. It was one day we was down the farm and he was down there hooping, and about the first half, I'm sitting there like, why you being all passive, man? I don't care about no name. He came off on the side and I said, hey man, look here. Ain't nobody in this city can stop you. Nobody. You had the perfect shot. You're just, they couldn't do nothing with you. Physically, you can outpower most of the guards around there with no problem. And I said to you, stop being passive. Them dudes can't see you, man.
I remember that.
And that was me. I said, they can't see you. Second half, it was like a whole different dude. I'm like, that's the E I like to see right there. But I always told you that you should have been an NBA ball player because you had that entire package. The one thing that I think kept it from going there was the fact that you were too passive and too nice. And I think others could see it. They had to say, well, he's a really nice guy. For me, I think all it had to take is you to have one of them moments where you just spaz out on somebody.
Right.
And
I
you know,
he pissed before, but it took for us to be down.
Right, and that's what I'm talking about.
It took for us to be down. Like it just don't come out in him like naturally. Like it's something to have to trigger.
Yeah, but everybody speaks highly of you, and not just as a basketball player. The community speaks highly of you. I've never heard one bad word from anybody when it comes in reference to you. And that's a testament to you being able to travel through the circle and go to a school like Sidwell Friends. Because they ain't just letting anybody come into Sidwell Friends. You got to have some behind you and some people that saying, we support that move.
Right.
You know, so that's a heck of a piece.
So moving off this basketball piece, what started you with this coaching? So where did that begin?
Man, I was running from coaching, man. Like
You sound like me.
I was running from it because I always wanted to do something that I thought was commensurate to my education. So I wanted to prove that I went to Sidwell.
Hold up further, you heard the word commiserate. You talking about several times? That's why we was in the hotel room.
I wanted to prove that I went to Sidwell. I wanted to prove that I went to Rice. And so, you know, I knew coming back to certain reunions at Sidwell, I knew what my counterparts were going to be doing and, you know, with their lives for our profession. So I always was super interested in law. You know, you and I
we talked about that a lot.
And so it was an easy transition to pursue that. And I worked in a law firm before I got into coaching. But honestly, when I started doing the youth league, it was my son's mom at the time, her son. I started coaching like a little AAU team just to, you know, help out. And man, it really just got my...
The green and white uniform.
The green and white, yeah.
I remember. Shout
Shout out to Clinton Celtics.
Clinton Celtics, baby.
And I just kind of got doing it at that level. Doing it at that level, at the smallest youth level, like 8 and under, really just got my passion burning. And I realized that I wasn't really working. And so, like, you know, I went to Gonzaga a couple years after that. Shout out to Coach Turner.
How long you was down Gonzaga?
1 year, man. Like, that's what you never know. I wasn't even going to take the Sidwell job because I was at Gonzaga for 1 year. And I was like, all right, I'm getting used to this. Let me get my feet wet and really learn from Coach. And I got a call, and they said they wanted me to be the coach. And
first of all, he's a hell of a coach.
Oh,
hell of a
coach. A lot of people don't even know he ain't played basketball.
And
he's a soccer player.
Hell of a
soccer player and killing down there.
But I always tell people this though, like, you know, to have great mentors in your life sometimes, because I remember not wanting to take the Sidwell job because I thought it was too soon. And I remember asking my mentor, like, you know, I don't think I'm ready. And he said, you're never ready till you start.
That's right.
You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? So I never forget that. So that's that was the ethos of me going, you know, back to school. And
I ain't gonna stop using these words.
No, I'm saying I don't even know.
We got a human dictionary over here.
No,
we gonna utilize it.
That was serious. That was the ethos of me, you know, really giving myself this chance. And 12 years later, I haven't worked 1 day in 12 years. So
wow, and that's a great way to look at it, because my thing is, you know, people say, "Oh, he's passionate about it," and I tell people, whatever you do, don't ever describe me with the word passion. Because describing people with the word passion to me means you're dumbing down their knowledge,
right,
and you're dumbing down their confidence. Don't ever tell me I'm passionate. I am knowledgeable and I'm confident enough about this process.
Right.
I don't know nothing about no passion.
Right.
And you know, so you look at it that way, but you are knowledgeable and you're confident in what you're doing. So that when they asked you to come, what was that moment where you breathed and were like, wow, man, I'm going back on the hill.
Yeah.
On the hill, man. And what were your expectations? Watch it. What were your expectations of the administration?
Oh yeah, well definitely. Like when I was there, like we were decent, right? But you know, I followed them over the years, and we weren't known as a perennial sports school. I was just one of the top academic schools in the country. So, but following that model that I just left with Steve at Gonzaga, kind of showed me like what I wanted to accomplish in Sidwell. Not so much in the winning or championships, but just who I wanted our kids to be. Because I always thought, even when I was there, we would lose to other people's jerseys. You know what I mean? So, like, you know,
hold on, you gotta say that again, because I think that may have went on some people head. You would lose to it. It's almost like lose to what?
We would lose to their jerseys. Like, as soon as we showed up, it's just kind of like, you know, we didn't have kids that were like super tough. And so that was my only goal, was to make sure that Sidwell was going to be known as like a tough out.
So that Mike Tyson effect. As soon as they walk in, we don't stand a chance.
Right.
Okay, we're going to take a break right here because we want you to stay on that piece right there about losing to the jersey. We're going to take a quick little minute break real fast. People, we'll be right back with you.
Right back with you with Eric Singletary, y'all. Eric Singletary.
Eric Scott. Welcome to DeMarco Solar.
Let's go get it. Come on! Let's go get it.
DeMarco Solar, located at 3353 Darnell Drive in Forestville, Maryland. Now, if in fact you got somewhere to go tonight, come see us at DeMarco Solar. Got fresh sweatsuits for you fellas, fresh tees for you fellas, and look, let me tell you something. Something real simple, something real sweet. All colors, all sizes, but here's the deal. DeMarco Solar, we customize a lot of clothing for everybody and anybody. DeMarco Solar, 3353 Darnell Drive in Forestville, Maryland. Come on, come see us, because guess what? We got it all.
You got it all.
Alright, people.
We back
Sponsored to you
live.
by 3 Sports Release Drink, man. Hey, look, we got these at Metro City Wing House. Go get you one.
Excuse me, can you do this? Can you put it over here though? Okay, B. No, right there. No, we right there. No, we right there. Camera one.
360 Release Drink, man. Sports drink. Support a brother. 3 brothers and got together and put a sports drink together. Now we ready to dive back into my buddy, my friend, my family, Eric Singletary.
Yes, indeed. So we left here talking about we went through the high school experience of how you got to sit with friends and things of that nature. And what were the expectations of the administration from Sitwell? Were there any expectations on you to bring a championship or to do what? What did they ask of you?
Oh, absolutely not. Like they just, I think my time there, I proved myself as a student athlete. I think that's why I got the job. I don't think they had any expectations on that we'd be this good, which made it's twofold, right? Because sometimes, like I always tell people, I want a little bit of pressure because then you get more money.
Wow. Hey, that's good. That's good. I want a little more pressure. But watch this. Because our brains, we get a little older in age. Man, shout out to your coaches. Who are your coaches?
Oh, I mean,
because they work hard, man.
Hey, man, like shout out to Mike Powell, who's now running his own program over at Carroll High School.
Yes,
but he was my associate head coach for the first 8 years, man. Like couldn't have done it without him, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Blackman, who helped us get this thing started off the ground. Shout out to JB. Obviously Anthony Green and Charles Rogers been with me for the last 9 years. Benj Cohen, his 3rd year, and Chris Brown his 3rd year. So unbelievable continuity with our staff. They work super hard. They understand the mission of Sidwell Friends. We don't get too, like I always like to tell people, we're like a boutique hotel. You just got to make up your own bed.
So your coaching style, because I've watched you coach. Your coaching style is more akin to how you play the game. Real relaxed, cool, calm, and collected and things of that nature. So it's almost like if he gets upset, there is a definite reason. You're like a Morgan Wooten type of coach, because they always say Morgan will sit down, but when he raised up, it's a problem. Right. So with your coaching style, how did that play into leading up through this championship season and getting there with your coaching staff?
Yeah, I just think we've had consistency. Honestly, I think that I've been consistent with the kids. I think I've instilled a lot of confidence in them. Like we definitely,
yeah, you did.
Yeah, we definitely coach with a lot of intensity. Yeah. Even though I'm glad it's like a swan that's gliding across the water, but we're fiercely pedaling underwater. So like it's intense. So it's not as calm as you may think. But I know the kids would tell you something different. We get after it, but. I think we've been consistent. I think we've instilled in them that sense of like, don't let another boy be more of a boy than you. It starts there. I can't coach you if you're not going to be tough. Like our 3 core values is having attitude, and toughness, and intelligence. Like if you don't have those 3 things, it's going to be hard for you to play for us.
And that now that translates into life.
That's life.
So you didn't just get there. So when you talk about those, can you say those 3 cores again?
Attitude, toughness, intelligence.
Attitude, toughness, and intelligence.
Right.
So ATI, that thing. We got a new thing here with Eric Singletary, ATI and them people. Yeah. Yes, indeed, because you got to have that, and even in life.
Yeah, you got to embody those things like in your everyday life, right? Your attitude controls everything that happens when it comes to you, right? How you prepare for things, having the right frame of mind, you have the right disposition. Toughness goes without a doubt that you got to be resilient in life. You're going to get knocked down. You got to have some perseverance. And then, along with that, you got to have a mental toughness that allows for you to deal with constructive criticism. I think a lot of young people struggle with that today. So we try to teach that at the highest level. And then intelligence informs all your decisions that you make, right? And you got to be tough to make intelligent decisions. So they all kind of correlate into one another. So we believe in like those 3 principles and as our guideposts in our program.
So what we just did right here, though, hey, man, I think the brother just gave a heck of an interview. We need to, hey, what's the Wizards coach name? I mean, what's the Wizards? Leonsis? Hey, man.
But no, what he did, so he was talking about the kids, but he walked around, me and him spoke several times at Georgetown during his run of the championship. Mm-hmm. And he was doing it in the gym, like him and I spoke about, man, what you think? And it's like he went around and he got different ideas from whomever and just mashed that together to put in and pour into his guys. Let's dive into this piece of your guys. How does it feel for you to have one of your guys in the league right now?
Oh, tremendous. I mean, anybody that knows his story, right? I mean, the NBA obviously is the ultimate dream for any young boy growing up playing the game, but Josh came to us. His house had just burned down.
What's his name?
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart.
New Orleans Pelicans right now,
yes,
former
indeed.
LA Laker.
Shout out to Josh.
Shout out to Josh, former NCAA champion with Villanova, so he's had a hell of a career. But no, he came to us, through a friend of mine who said, man, I got this kid, I think you can really help. His family, you can really help out. House had just burned down, and Sidwell was a big challenge for him. He came to us in the 10th grade out of Wheaton High School. Same as me, didn't have a lot of those foundations academically, was obviously smart enough to be there, but really struggled, and basically was asked to leave. Didn't think it was going to work out for him, right? And we rallied around him as a community, and then he was reinstated. And the credit that I give Josh and his family was, even at the time, think about how that feels to be asked to leave. You're just becoming one of the better players in the area. Schools like Montrose Christian and all these more powerhouse basketball schools are coming after you once they realize you were asked to leave Sidwell. And to come back to Sidwell after that, knowing that they weren't going to change the classes for you, right? He didn't take no special classes, right? So the credit that I give that family, being the salt of the earth family that they are, to endure the hardships that he had to go through academically to get to that mountaintop of graduating from Sidwell, going on to Villanova, becoming all academic Big East, as well as a great player.
All academic.
I didn't even know that.
All academic Big East, man. Josh was our first team All-Met player that that we've had in our program. I was like, I didn't even accomplish that, right? So, he's been an unbelievable ambassador for what we've done. I've seen the growth in him as a young man, and one of the things I told him, kind of alluding back to what we talked about, being prepared for life after basketball on draft night. I remember congratulating them, we're hugging, crying, all that. And I remember telling them, but you're closer to the end of your career than you are the beginning.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? So you'll never play as long as you played to get here. Right?
That's a heck of a phrase and a theme to live by. But again, it was that attitude, toughness, and intelligence that was instilled in him, and he embodied it.
He embodied it. No doubt.
Man, you speak as if you're 60 years old. No, seriously, like information like that. You at the end of your career, and you just being drafted in the NBA.
Right.
For you to tell a kid that, right, is huge. We don't talk to people like that because most of the people, and you've been around guys that have played in the league that should have been in the league, that hooped against people in the league. What we do is gravitate to that person for the fact that they're in the league. You sitting there telling somebody the flat out truth, going into the league. Right? I ain't looking for nothing from you, man, but I'm about to tell you some real life stuff right now. And for him to be able to accept that shows how much you teaching. And not that you as teacher in the classroom, but you as teacher on the court and in life.
Absolutely.
And all good things going to come to an end. So you're preparing for when the end is inevitably going to arrive. You have to prepare for that when you start.
And the reason I really said it was, obviously it's the truth, but certainly I think if you can have that at the forefront, you'll actually enjoy it more. Right? I think a lot of guys don't even enjoy it when they're there because they think it's lasting. And I think if they knew it was like, that, then I think they would enjoy it even more.
And I think he's having a hell of a career. And he looks like he's having fun. He can get a bucket when he feel like it, even though he's not even a superstar on the team, right? But you can go to him at any point in time in the game on both ends
high character
of the floor.
So that championship run, we're gonna wind it down, but that championship run that you had, talk about that, man, because that's a special moment. We gotta get that championship run before we close out. Talk to us about that run, man.
I mean, like, just think about it, what it meant for me, right? Like, not just as a coach, but as an alum, right?
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
kind of get to that. I always tell the kids I win twice, you know, as your coach and as an alum. I get to kind of brag on our success and feel that the way all the alums felt. But to me, what made that game outside of the actual game that I think I heard from a lot of people say it was one of the best high school games they've ever seen.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there, front row. But I think for me, all the bells were there, right? Like, it was right around the corner from where I grew up, in the new sports entertainment.
Yes.
You know, and have all my family and friends, and the neighborhood was there. You know, to play against, you know, Wilson, you know, the big #1 team in the area. And,
with the Twins, and the Twins were dominant. They had that point guard that was...
That whole front five was probably a D1 kid.
Without question.
So you're the underdog going into the game. We had just knocked off a really good St. John's team as well. And like you said, we don't pass the eye test. You know what I mean? We had, I think, not that it matters, but we know that, you know, African Americans, you know, we kind of dominate this sport. So I had 4 white starters. And so I think people were like, you know, this run has to be over. But I think I had one of the best players in the area, Jason Gibson, who didn't pick up a scholarship offer until late. And now he's playing really well at Towson. Shout out to Jason.
Man,
first team on that.
That kid's awesome. And your big guy, the big guy.
Walter Rouse playing football at Stanford.
Playing football. Now, this guy was incredible because one of the things I noticed that you all did with him, you all made him set picks where he would actually turn away, he would turn towards the basket and look at the basket at the top of the free throw line, the top of the key, he's this way. So he's looking away from the guy, so he could never move because he don't know the pick coming.
And the defense doesn't know which way to head.
Right.
And that's why we did that. But I mean, just speak to, you said it, Six, like those kids, man, you talking about the embodiment of a team. Like that team, they rarely took a day off in practice. They were prepared for the moment years ago.
Who was the little kid that hit the shot?
Dean Maslish. And like the story I want to tell about Dean is because most people think in order to have a really strong program, and you need kids that you bring into the community. But Dean is a lifer. Who was there since kindergarten. So for a lifer to make the game-winning shot, incredible. It was just a storybook.
But what got me was your actual, I'm gonna say star player fouled out the game. And then this kid come down and y'all went into overtime. And when y'all went into overtime and this kid, it was like he came down the court and I'm looking at, when it left his hands, I say, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. It was incredible, man, just to see it and to see it up front.
It was surreal. It was an out-of-body experience. I had my Jim Valvano moment. I was looking for somebody to hurt. I did. He was running around. Like, normally I'm calm, like he said, but like I couldn't help it, man.
Hey, for those of you that's out there, if you've never seen it, please Google, YouTube, 2018 Sitwell Friends versus the Wilson Tigers championship game. Watch the entire game. It was a nail bite all the way through. I think at one point they went up by about 7 or 8 points. You called a timeout. And what was interesting, I watched Wilson coach have a discussion with the refs. And you took total advantage of him talking to the refs and got your guys together. And what did you say to them before we close out? What did you say to them guys in the huddle? Because you were down by 7.
Yeah, I just told them that like this is that moment that we practice for. You know what I mean? Like they're a great team, but we're not gonna let them get away from us. And at the end of the day, like I tell my guys all the time, like I'll get on the refs every once in a while, but like we need them, so I don't spend too much time wasting time on the referees. So I try to keep them calm and say like, if we keep the game close, I felt really confident that we could win the game because we've been in those moments before.
So give us a life lesson. Give us a life lesson coming from the coach, and this yours now. This your moment.
Man, a life lesson. Like,
a life lessons for the kids, for the coaches, and for parents.
Honestly, I think that enjoy the journey. Right? Enjoy the journey for the most part. I see people like reaching for these carrots that are dangling from the trees, right? Which is these contracts and everything like that. And that's great. But I think that I always tell the kids, a good coach will always give you everything you need. You just may miss it because you're not getting what you want. So like to me, that's the lesson. Like pay more attention to like what's in front of you, not always your desires. It's okay to have them, but at the end of the day, like often we confuse our gift with our purpose. And so like we got to become better at understanding what our purpose may be. That may be different than the gifts that are in front of us. So that's my lesson.
Man,
so we're going to close out on that because we ain't following that.
Can't do it. Can't do it, refuse to do it, won't do it. You ain't got to worry about us doing it. We want to thank you all for joining us again with this another moment of the Men's Corner.
Shout out to Men's Corner.
Again, Eric Singletary, man, fabulous coach, fabulous human being, a great man. I am a proud uncle right here, because both of these like my nephews. I'm proud. Although the other one over there, you know, all he want to do is all that, you know.
Junior back then.
But this is an awesome time. I want to thank you all for tuning in live to us. If you like this piece, remember, you can always go to the Men's Corner DMV on Facebook, the Men's Corner DMV on Instagram, and we're going to upload this thing on YouTube. Like us a lot. So if you like what we're doing, we bringing people in and we're not just talking about what their interests are. We're talking about family. How did they keep that and what they want to do. So thank you again for tuning in to us. Take care of yourself. Coming from the Men's Corner. We're going to leave you with this thing right here.
How you doing, Andy?
Somebody told me this a long time ago, and I've been repeating it since. Never delegate the responsibility of loving you to someone else, because if you do, they may stop loving you without your permission. So we're going to be out with that one. Enjoy yourself.
Get on down, Eddie.